How can you follow the same dogmatic belief for the past 400 plus years and it still hasn't worked out for you? You haven't seen any results, any improvement, anything better in your life as a result of this practice. What would you think if I told you that by you doing this, it's actually worse than the worst drug that's ever been put into the black community? Why is this, you ask? Well, it's real simple. Number one, this system, this belief pattern, has been around much longer than this particular drug has been introduced. And secondly, it's harder to break the addiction and come off this belief than it is that even that drug, that same drug that everyone says is just absolutely horrible, and in which it is, not disagreeing with that. I take a crackhead any day over the week over a Christian. But the absolute worst person to deal with is a crackhead who refers to him or herself as a Christian. I've seen those people before. It's very ridiculous, really. How can you be smoking all that crack, cocaine, any drug for that matter, but I'm just speaking of crack, for instance, since that's supposed to be quote-unquote the black people's drug. How can you smoke crack, yet you always say, oh, yeah, the Lord has blessed me, or Jesus knows my heart, or whatever the fuck that you decide to let pass through your lips? Christianity is worse for black people than crack cocaine. Black people are going to stay believing in some Christianity for the most part, as a rule. You do have other religions out there as well. Me personally, I don't believe in religion at all. I'm not an atheist. I'm just spiritual. There is something to reading the scriptures, to reading the Bible, to reading the Quran, and any other religious textbook you choose to believe. But you have to just really read those books, and not just as information. It's not 100% the full solid truth. You might believe it is. I like to look at these religious scriptures as just a piece of the truth. It's a truth, but it's a piece of the puzzle, a vast puzzle that you need to add up all the other pieces of puzzle before you get the full truth. I'm singling out Christianity because Christianity is the biggest religion, most popular religion that black Americans choose to follow. But I would single out any other religion for that matter. Again, many of you probably are Christians, and that's fine. I know who I'm talking to. I'm not here to change your mind or make you believe what I believe in. But all I'm saying is, don't try to make me follow that propaganda piece, because I already did it. I tried it. It didn't work. And don't tell me anything about how, oh, I didn't believe hard enough. I didn't try hard enough. My faith wasn't strong. Or any other typical straw man arguments that black people who are Christians like to say. The Bible is just a collection of different books packaged together in one book. So it's basically just one book. You can find out a lot of information from reading the Bible. I'm not saying that you can't. I've personally read the Bible numerous times in my life, and I'll probably read it again. Most people who go in on Christianity probably haven't read the Bible as much as I have. So you can bring in any scripture you want to challenge me on what I'm saying. I'm not going to use scripture right back on you, because that's something that a Christian would do. I'll just say, oh, I'm aware of that, and this is how I feel about what you just said. See, this is real controversial. This is, Christianity has been the best way to keep black people in the biggest servitude, docile, inactive action situation that you could think of. So black people will never have a revolution. They will never rise up. They will never challenge the status quo, because, they must turn their cheek. They must forgive and love their enemy and all that other shit that Christian blacks like to say. When you're doing that, while you're loving your enemy is ever steadily busy hating your guts and figuring out a way and plotting a way to destroy you. So why in the hell would you love your enemy? I've always thought something was wrong with Christianity all my life, ever since I was little. It never made sense to me. I'm talking about how it relates to black people. Christianity, at least the current format that it's in right now, is considered to be the white man's religion. Really, it is. The way it's been doctored up and made up to be basically the white supremacists hundreds of years ago, even I guess roughly 2,000 years ago, they decided to create a certain belief pattern that would subjugate its believers, and it started doing that with other Europeans at the time in Europe. You need to study the Christian religion if you really want to be a Christian. You need to study the Essenes, the Gnostics, and look at the way they looked at Christianity, their outlook, how they viewed Christianity. You should start with them, not the way you currently view Christianity. Do you know how many books was left out of the Bible? I know you guys are going to come and tell me, oh, there is a scripture, someone's probably going to quote it to me. Oh, if anyone, I'm paraphrasing here, for if anyone add or subtract or leave out any scripture from this book, I will leave you out of the doors of heaven, or to that certain extent. I'm here to tell you, Christian believers, that has already happened so many times. You just don't know how many times that has already happened. So don't use that scripture on me. See, now I'm looking for people to challenge me. I'm not afraid of that. Because I know what I'm talking about. I tried being a Christian. It never worked for me. And then my grandmother, who I'm not going to disrespect or denigrate at all, because I love my grandmother dearly. But she was a strong believer in Christianity, had very deep faith. And I would say, to be quite honest, respectfully, and I really do love and adore and respect my grandmother, and I miss her. She's gone. In some ways, Christianity worked for her, because I actually seen her pull out the Bible while it's raining and read to herself. I guess she read a scripture and she prayed, and the next thing you know, the clouds clear up, it stops raining, and now you have a sunny sky. So it worked for her. But yeah, at the same time, it really didn't work for her, because again, she was a very sweet lady, and she, let certain people take advantage of her and take her kindness for weakness, and abuse her and mistreat her. I'm not going to say who, but it's a certain family member in particular who's closely related to both me and my grandmother. I'm not going to name who. I'm not going to even say who it is here. Not because I'm trying to respect that person's privacy. I would love to out that person, but I'm actually protecting myself. But my grandmother endured a lot, because the Bible, or at least her interpretation of the Bible, said so. And she didn't live very, very long. She passed away at 69 years old. Then right from that point on, I knew right then and there I was never going to be a Christian ever again. Because her God, my grandmother, very faithful to her belief, really believed in this God. And God, her God, well, she'll tell you, her God allowed her to endure and suffer, and she passed away young. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So yes, Christianity is worse than crack cocaine for black people. I said that. And I'm not, and as much as I would like to take credit for even saying this, remember I told you guys, one of my subscribers who requested a video, the last video I did, I think, about talking about not black people and their dysfunction. That was another request, but it was the second request. Yeah, well, he's the one that made this statement. I never heard it before. I'm not going to say he requested this video, but he listens to my videos, and I'm sure he'll be pleased with this video. But he's the one that made this quote. He's the one that said, Christianity is worse for black people than crack cocaine. He said that. I couldn't even think of that on my own. So I'm honest, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to act like I created it. I'll tell you what I came up with. You guys will know that. But I just thought I'll do a video on this. Neck of the Woods signing out. You guys have a good night.